host and his honorable guests. It's cheesy, it's weekly, it's Cheese of the Week!
Hello, everybody.
Welcome to Cheese of the Week. I'm your co-host, and this is your host.
I am your host.
Yes, he is. Please welcome our special guest today,
Charles Tidgwell.
I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, he's been waiting a long time to be on the show. He filled out my form that I put in my bio. Actually, I didn't put it in my bio. But you should DM me if you want to be a guest on Cheese of the Week. You need to DM me at my right here, Sebastian Rebert, and I'll get back to you. So, Holden.
Hello, Sebastian.
What cheeses do we have today?
I don't know.
Yes, yes. This cheese right here is Manchego. It's called Manchego, and it is a sheep's milk cheese. And a sheep made this cheese. This is Queso de Cabra, and it is a goat's milk cheese. And this cheese is called Iberico, and it is a sheep, goat, and cow's milk cheese. So those are our cheeses for today. We have 3 different ones. Yes. How would you like to start?
I was intrigued when you mentioned sheep's milk cheese. So how about we begin with Manchego?
Yes.
And
We
so
shall.
we shall.
We definitely shall.
That's correct.
So grab your piece.
I'm gonna take the first bite.
Yes.
How is it, Charlie?
It's very good. I would say
No. Before you give us the rating, give us more.
it's creamier than cow's milk cheese. It's more flavorful as well. Like, you can tell this stuff is unpasteurized. These sheep were raised free, which is, as many of you may know,
They were grass-fed.
They were grass-fed. They were not raised in a lab, which, as many of you know, that is a value that I hold dear to me. That was a very good bite of cheese.
And how do you feel that it blended with the orange?
You know, there are very few fruits that truly enhance anything other than cow's milk cheese. But I say orange is definitely something that pairs very well with the sheep's milk cheese.
I would agree. So what would be your overall rating of Manchego?
I would say I would give that a solid 8.5 out of 10.
8.5 out of 10.
Oh, okay.
So, as the next in line, I would try our next slice. I love how it's very, like he said, it's very creamy, and like it washes down like with the orange very well. It blends together pretty well. Mm-hmm. And if you're gonna have like a cheese that like settles in your stomach very well, then sheep's milk and goat's milk cheese would be your best bet, right? Because cow's milk, it can be hard sometimes, it could be firm, but this cheese, it slides down very well. And all that in combination with everything else, I could also tell that these sheep are grass fed, and they were held to the utmost captivity. And I would give this cheese a 7.7 out of 10.
Oh, all right. And now I will try this cheese.
Yes.
All right. This cheese. So my first impression, it is actually a pretty sharp flavor, which I was not expecting based on what you guys said. But I think it actually has a contrast with the orange. You said it blends, but I think it does. But there's also a contrast, right? This cheese is, like I said, a sharp flavor, and I think it's a pretty good cheese. So I'm gonna give it actually a 6 out of 10.
6 out of 10 for Holden. So on to our next cheese, Queso de Cabra, and this is another goat's milk cheese.
It is.
And it was I assume grass-fed as well. So
I would hope so.
I also would hope so. I would never want these sheep to be in captivity.
Yeah. Fed anything other than grass.
That would be awful if they were fed pesticides or nerds gummy clusters.
It's not good for the sheep.
That would be terrible. So, have the next bite.
Thank you. Ooh, I like how this is in layers.
It is in layers.
That's a very interesting cheese. It's lighter than most cow's milk cheeses, I would say. There's a very noticeable difference in texture between the sheep's milk and cow's milk. I would say the goat's milk is drastically different, probably due to altitude at which goats usually live compared to sheep. And then in terms of diet, you can definitely taste it in the milk. I would say that the orange probably overpowers the flavor a little too much, but I think that's just because the cheese itself is so much lighter.
Yes. And you know, like, in addition to what you're saying, I agree that the goats maybe aren't getting as much, food as they usually are, and that may be affecting the way they make their cheese. And it's not the goats' fault; it's the raiser's fault. It's the farmer's fault for leaving them in that freaking pen for so long that their the milk doesn't taste that good. So, what is your final rating?
I would say this one I will give a solid 7.2 out of 10.
7.2 out of 10. And then I will try the next bite. Weird. It's kind of, I would say, flavorless for the first few seconds that it's in your mouth. And once you chew it, it kind of gets a little more flavor, but it doesn't really have that much flavor. I would say that the orange overpowers it, but that's only because that the flavor is so dull for the cheese itself. And I really don't like flavors that are dull in cheeses. So if your cheese doesn't have flavor, I probably would not want to pick it out of any other cheese. And I would say that this cheese does not stand out against the other cheeses, of course pepper jack and smoked Gouda. So I would say this cheese would be a good 6.3 out of 10.
Alright, and now I will try the cheese. Yeah, the texture is actually way more softer than the first cheese. And like you said, the flavor it's not there. It's not quite there. There is sort of a bitter aftertaste to the cheese itself, but again, that only comes after, and the cheese itself does not have that much flavor, so therefore I'm gonna have to give this a 6 as well.
6 from Holden. And for our last cheese, Iberico. Charlie.
Very good cheese. I think the combination of the 3 types of milk, it's a combination of sheep, goat, and cow's milk. The combination is very good. It makes it very, very good cheese. It's reminiscent almost of some Swiss cheeses I've tried, and that's one of my favorite cheeses. And paired with the orange, it's a very good blend, I would say. It's each flavor complements itself with no single one being overpowering. Initial taste, it's very creamy, very flavorful. I would give it a solid 7.7 out of 10.
A 7.7 out of 10. And now I will try the bites. Now, automatically, I do see some similarities to Swiss cheese. It kind of has the same taste. First off, it's a very tart kind of cheese, and I enjoy tart cheeses, but that's only one gimmick that you can't really be successful off of, and it is very creamy. But I also would have to say that this cheese also doesn't really stick out. But that being said, I would probably pick this cheese over a lot of the other different kinds of cheeses in the aisle if it was available. Say Swiss cheese, Kobe Jack. I would definitely pick Iberico after this. So I would have to give this a solid 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10. Now I will try this cheese. Yeah, again, texture is similar to our second cheese. The flavors start to come in, I think, about a second after you actually have it in your mouth. It is a little sweet. Obviously, it is. I wouldn't say it stands out. The flavor is not as sharp as the first one. However, it is still good, better than the second one. I will have to give this a 6.1.
A 6.1 out of 10. And with that concludes our show. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have enjoyed Cheese of the Week this week. And would our 2 honorary guests please stand up? I would like to thank my guest, Charles Tidwell, for being here. And I would like to thank our co-owner, Holachan, for occupying the space. Thank you for watching Cheese of the Week this week.
We'll be back next week.
Yes, we do hope to see you next week. 3, 2, 1,
Cheese of the Week.
Cheese of the Week.